Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into, well, a universally relatable and often pretty chaotic phase of life, the so-called terrible twos. We've
Mm,
received this fascinating personal account from a parent who's right in the middle of navigating this exact stage. It's
mhm.
a raw, honest look, often humorous too, looking at the daily realities. Our mission today really is to unpack this experience. We want to extract the core challenges, yeah, but also the surprising strategies. And maybe most importantly, those nuggets of insight that make this intense period not just survivable, but, truly heartwarming sometimes. Because as our source reveals, the terrible twos aren't always about a number, it's really more about a stage.
That's a critical distinction, yeah. What's truly insightful here, I think, is how this parent's journey illustrates that while it's challenging, absolutely, this stage is also incredibly dynamic. It really demands a flexible, adaptive approach from parents. We'll be diving into specific instances where adaptation becomes, well, paramount, and how a parent's understanding of their child's unique cues, evolves day by day, sometimes hour by hour.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our source kicks off by mentioning that technically their son is still a few weeks away from actually being two, but they're already deep in what feels like the terrible twos.
hmm
It really highlights how this phase isn't strictly tied to a calendar age, does it? Sometimes it starts earlier. And as they put it, maybe it goes beyond two as well. It's less about a birthday, definitely more about a developmental leap.
That's precisely it. That observation really underscores that the terrible twos aren't some calendar event you mark off. It's a profound developmental period. Toddlers are experiencing massive cognitive and emotional growth, just huge leaps. They're developing autonomy, language is exploding, a sense of self is emerging. But, and this is key, they still lack the tools to fully regulate those really intense emotions or communicate complex needs effectively. So yeah, this often manifests as challenging behavior, but it's truly rooted in development.
Right. And initially, this parent describes their son as, a pretty good kid, generally speaking. He ate well, loved his puzzles, playing. They felt truly blessed. They adore his cute face, especially those cheeks they say look like a bulldog, which I have to say that paints such a vivid picture. Really endearing. But then, almost overnight, it seemed things started to shift
Yeah.
dramatically.
And that initial baseline of a good kid is really crucial context. It highlights that the shift isn't a failure on anyone's part, parent or child. It's just a natural progression. So a core challenge that emerged for them was around eating. Their child, who's previously a good independent eater, suddenly started resisting food. Just, nope.
Yeah, and the parent notes you kind of have a choice. Either wrestle him or just go with his cue, as they put it, their
Yeah.
approach. They play it by ear, watch his cues. So, like, if he skips breakfast, maybe he randomly eats a whole banana right before lunch. For them, a huge win is that he can now talk more and actually articulate his needs for certain foods. That helps. But this constant adaptability around meals, doesn't that risk creating inconsistency, for a child who often thrives on routine?
That's a really perceptive question, and it's a common concern, right? While consistency definitely has its place, the core insight here, I think, is a masterful application of responsive parenting. This isn't just getting in, it's actually leveraging the child's emerging autonomy and listening to their bodily cues,
Hmm.
tuning in. By respecting his need to eat when he's hungry, even if it's unconventional timing, they're fostering a healthier relationship with food long term, and they're empowering his, nascent decision-making skills. And the ability to articulate needs, like you said, that's a game changer. It allows for negotiation, some back and forth, rather than just pure guesswork from the parent. That's a major developmental leap for both of them, really,
Hmm.
for the child and the parent's understanding.
Okay, that makes sense. So, beyond eating, tantrums, the other big one. Often a daily occurrence, the source says. The parent gives this great example. The son wants to play with Play-Doh. Okay, fine. But then tries to put it in his mouth, so naturally it gets taken away. And then he starts flailing around and crying. Full meltdown.
Ah, yes, the classic Play-Doh incident. And the profound insight this parent discovered, which many parents learn, is that in the heat of a toddler tantrum, rationality, it's futile. Redirection becomes your superpower. They realize there's just no point in talking him out or holding him at that point. The key they found is immediate shift in focus. Change the channel, basically.
Yes. And their go-to distraction sounds brilliant, actually.
Right.
Grabbing his favorite lawnmower toy, running around the house with it, making him laugh until he completely forgets what he was even upset about. It's definitely ingenious for the moment, right? But is there a concern maybe that relying solely on distraction might prevent the child from, I don't know, developing his own coping mechanisms for frustration later on?
That's a valid point, and it's a balance many parents grapple with, for sure. However, at this specific developmental stage, we need to remember a toddler's prefrontal cortex, That's the part of the brain responsible for emotional regulation, impulse control. It's still highly immature, very much under construction. They simply don't have the neural wiring yet to cope in the way an older child or an adult would. It's just not there. So redirection isn't just a parental hack. It's actually a developmentally informed strategy. It capitalizes on their naturally short attention span and their intense sensory curiosity. You're effectively rewiring their focus away from the source of frustration. Later, absolutely, as they mature, then you can start introducing more verbal coping strategies talking about feelings. But right now, redirection is often the most effective tool.
Okay, that context about brain development is really helpful. And the nap situation, another big one they mention. The sun used to reliably go down for lunch and nap between, say, 12 and 1 p.m. Predictable. But now, it's often closer to 2 p.m., or sometimes later. The window shifts, and their last resort for getting him to sleep. Throwing him in the car seat, driving around for a bit until he's finally knocked out. Oh man, anyone who's been there knows that silent prayer you make as you turn the key, just hoping they drift off. Please just drift off.
Absolutely. It speaks to the raw, often unglamorous reality of parenting, doesn't it? Sometimes survival mode dictates these unconventional strategies. The car nap is a classic. And this raises that important question about balancing immediate needs, like the desperate need for the child and parent to get some rest, with thinking about long-term habits. The parent acknowledges it's not ideal. They know there's a risk the child might be dependent on this routine. It's that classic parental dilemma, isn't it? Do you let them just run wild all day and risk zero sleep, total meltdown later? Or do you use a less conventional method, like the car ride, to ensure they get the crucial rest their developing brains and bodies absolutely need? There really is no perfect rule book here. It's so much about improvisation in the moment.
That improvisation seems key, yeah. And this parent expresses immense gratitude for having their mother-in-law help out. That help allows them to work, even though, as they mention, she needs a break too sometimes. It really underscores the immense effort and, frankly, the support system needed during this phase. But for parents listening who maybe don't have readily available family support nearby, what does this tell us? What about the broader landscape of managing this intense stage?
That's such an important point. This Karen's gratitude for their mother-in-law isn't just a heartfelt thank you. It highlights a fundamental truth. No one really parents completely alone through this phase, or at least it's incredibly hard. It's a testament to the fact that while it's immensely rewarding, toddlerhood is also incredibly demanding, physically, emotionally. It often requires a village, as the saying goes. So for those without immediate family networks close by, it really underscores the critical need for other forms of community resources, whether that's affordable childcare, parent support groups online or in person, or even just reliable friends who can offer an hour of respite here and there. The sheer physical and emotional bandwidth required makes external support, truly, in whatever form it comes, an essential ingredient for thriving, not just surviving.
Yeah, thriving, not just surviving. I
Yeah.
like that. And despite all the chaos, the tantrums, the skipped meals, the car naps, the parent has this really profound realization towards the end. They say, so yeah, technically we haven't hit the official terrible twos, but I get it now. It's not really about a number. It's about a stage. A chaotic, hilarious, exhausting, and heart-melting stage. That sums it up perfectly.
It really does. This truly eliminates the ultimate acceptance, and I think the reframing that often happens in parenting. It's a mental shift. By recognizing it as a phase of intense, albeit messy, developmental growth, rather than just terrible behavior marked by a birthday,
Yeah.
it allows for so much more understanding, more patience, and even finding the humor in it all. It becomes about navigating these incredible developmental leaps with hopefully a bit more grace, even when it feels like, everything is on fire around you.
Totally. And amidst that chaos, they talk about catching those moments, the moments that make it all worth it, like their son running with his little lawnmower, those bulldog cheeks puffed out, just belly laughing without a care in the world. Those are the moments, they say, that remind them this is what it's all about.
Yeah. And stepping back, this reveals such a fundamental truth about early childhood, doesn't it? Even within the most challenging periods of parenting, there were these incredibly pure, joyful, and deeply connecting moments. They pop up unexpectedly. It's those small wins, those heart-melting experiences, the unexpected belly laughs, the unique expressions of joy that provide the emotional fuel. That fuel and resilience you need to keep going, transforming what feel like daily struggles into, eventually, cherished memories.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening? Whether you're currently right in the thick of toddlerhood, maybe preparing for it, or perhaps you're just curious about this really intense developmental period. Our deep dive into this personal account, I think it really highlights that there's just no perfect rule book. There isn't one right way. It seems to be about this delicate balance of observation, really watching your child, improvisation, and yeah, maybe a healthy dose of car ride sometimes.
Exactly. And zooming out to the bigger picture, this deep dive reminds us that even amidst the tantrums and the skipped meals, those tough moments, there are these profound moments of connection and pure joy, like those bulldog cheeks and belly laughs the parent mentioned. And this raises, I think, an important question for everyone to ponder. How do these challenging, yet often hilarious and heart-melting moments, how do they shape not just the child's development, but also the parent's incredible journey? That journey of learning patience, building resilience, and finding that deep well of unconditional love. So, what unique strategies have you found that truly make a difference in navigating the beautiful chaos of early childhood? And maybe think about how those experiences have transformed your own understanding of growth, both for your child and perhaps for yourself too. Something to really mull over.